Good morning, everyone. We are the reporter of Ericson's Psychosocial Theory of Development. Ericson's Psychosocial Theory of Development. Ericson's Psychosocial Theory of Development is a well-regarded model that explores the influences of social interactions and experiences. Ericson proposed 8 stages of psychosocial development, each marked by a central conflict that individuals must resolve to build a sense of identity, purpose, and competence. Erickson's theory underscores the importance of both social and emotional factors in shaping personality and underscores the lifelong process of personal development. Erik Erikson was an ego psychologist who developed one of the most popular and influential theories of development. While his theory was impacted by psychoanalyst Simon Freud, Erickson's theory centered on psychosocial development rather than psychosexual development. Erickson's theory of psychosocial development is one of the best known theories of personality in psychology. Much like Simon Freud, Erikson believed that personality develops in a series of stages. Unlike Freud's theory of psychosexual stages, Erikson's theory describes the impact of social experiences across the whole lifespan. One of the main elements of Erikson's psychosocial stage theory is the development of ego identity. Ego identity is the conscious sense of self that we develop through social interaction. According to Erikson, our ego identity is constantly changing due to new experience and informations we acquire in our daily interactions with others. Each stage in Erikson's theory is a concern with becoming competent in an area of life. If the if the stage is handled well, the person will feel a sense of mastery, which we sometimes refer to as ego strength or ego quality. If the stage is managed poorly, the person will emerge with a sense of inadequacy. So now, we come now to psychosocial stage 1, trust versus mistrust. The first stage of Erickson's theory of psychosocial development occurs between birth and 1 year of age and is the most fundamental stage in life. Because an infant is utterly independent, the development of trust is based on the dependability and quality of the child's caregivers. If a child successfully develops trust, he or she will feel safe and secure in the world. Caregivers who are inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or rejecting contribute to feelings of mistrust. Failure to develop trust will result in fear and believe that the world is inconsistent and unpredictable. Psychosocial stage 2, autonomy versus shame and doubt. The second stage of Erickson's theory of psychosocial development takes place during early childhood and it focused on children developing a greater sense of personal control. Like Freud, Erickson's believed that toilet training was a vital part of this process. However, Erickson's reasoning was quite different than that of Freud's. Erickson believed that learning to control one's body leads to feeling of control and a sense of independence. Other important events including gaining more control over food choices, preference, and clothing selections. Children who successfully complete this stage feel secure and confident, while those who do not are left with sense of inadequacy and self-doubt. Next stage is psychosocial stage 3, initiative versus guilt. During the preschool years, children begin to assert their power and control over the world through directing play and other social interaction. Children who are successful at this age feel capable and able to lead others. Those who fail to acquire these skills are left with sense of guilt, self-doubt, and lack of initiative. Psychosocial stage 4. Industry versus inferiority. This stage covers the early school years from approximately age 5 to 11. Through social interactions, children begin to develop a sense of pride in their accomplishments and abilities. Children who are encouraged and pa- commended by parents and teachers, develop a feeling of competence and belief in their skills. Those who receive little or no encouragement from parents, teachers, and peers will doubt their ability to successful. Psychosocial stage 5. Identity versus confusion. During adolescence, children are exploring their independence and developing a sense of self. Those who receive proper encouragement and reinforcement through personal exploration will emerge from this stage. Those who remain unsure of their beliefs and desires will insecure and confused. And those who remain unsure of their beliefs and desires will insecure and confused about themselves and the future. Psychosocial stage 6. Intimacy versus isolation. This stage covers the period of early adulthood when people are exploring personal relationships. Ericson believed that it was vital that people develop close, committed relationships with other people. Those who are successful at this step will develop relationships that are committed and secure. Remember that each step builds on skills learned in previous steps. Ericson's believed that a strong sense of personal identity was important. Studies have demonstrated that those with a poor sense of self tend to have less committed relationships and they more likely to suffer emotional isolation, loneliness, and depression. Psychosocial stage 7. Generativity and stagnation. During adulthood, we continue to build our lives, confusing our career and family. Those who are successful during this phase will feel that they are contributing to the world by being active in their home and community. Those who fail to attain this skill will feel unproductive and uninvolved in the world. Psychosocial stage 8. Integrity versus despair. This phase occurs during old age and is focused on reflecting back on life. Those who are unsuccessful during this phase will feel that their life has been wasted and will experience many regrets. The individual will be left with feelings of bitterness and despair. And those who feel proud of their accomplishments will feel a sense of integrity. Successfully completing this phase means looking back with a few regrets and the general feeling of satisfaction. These individuals will attain wisdom even when confronting death.
Now let's proceed with the implication to teaching. So we have number one, psychosocial interaction. So Ericson's theory enforces how you, as a teacher, constantly need to recognize the influence of social context in understanding your students, yourself, and the interaction with you. So, for example, children in the industry versus inferiority stage, where they build confidence by achieving tasks and being encouraged. If these students feels like their ideas are valued, they may gain confidence, but if they are often criticized or ignored, they might feel inferior and avoid participating. So as a teacher, we have to recognize this and create a positive environment by praising their efforts, encouraging group work, and showing that their ideas matters. So this support can help them overcome self-doubt. So next is active involvement. So Erikson sees people as active in their own development. As with cognitive development, you as a teacher need to recognize or need to create opportunities for your learners to explore the psychosocial challenges they are confronting at the moment, and as well as those they have previously encountered. So for example, a teenager may struggle with identity versus role confusion, where they are trying to figure out who they are and what they value. So as a teacher, we can help by encouraging self-expression, such as assigning projects where they share their interests or beliefs, or by supporting them as they try out different roles in group work or school activities. Next is building a sense of competence. So teachers can help children build a sense of competence by setting small learning targets and consistently demanding that children reach them. So imagine a child is learning to read. Instead of expecting them to read a whole book right away, the teacher might set a small goal like reading one short paragraph. Once the child succeeds, the teacher praises them and you did a great job reading that paragraph, so let's try another one next time. So by gradually increasing the challenge and celebrating small success, the child gains confidence in their skills. So this process helps them build a strong sense of competence, which is essential for their growth and learning. Number 4, we have individual variation. So, although people may be experiencing similar challenges at any one stage, individual people may vary in what they bring to that stage and how they will progress through it. So, in Ericson's psychosocial stages, everyone experiences similar developmental tasks such as developing trust, identity, or a sense of competence. However, factors like personality, past experiences, family background, and environment influence how a person approaches and resolves these challenges. So as a teacher, recognizing these differences helps you to provide personalized support to meet each other's unique needs. Lastly, interdependence of developmental aspects. So in line with Ericson's theory, not only the emotional and social aspects, but also the physical, cognitive, moral, and spiritual aspects of development are all implicitly integrated and interdependent in the whole cycle. So for example, a student struggling to make friends might feel emotionally discouraged, which could affect their ability to concentrate in class. So as a teacher, supporting the child socially by encouraging group activities could help rebuild their confidence, to improve their focus, and lead to success in tasks. So those are just several implications of the theory to teaching. So that's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. This is Group 12 presentation about Freud's psychosexual theory. So Simon Freud's psychosexual theory posits that childhood experiences significantly shaped adult personality and behavior. This theory suggests that individuals progress through 5 distinct stages, each characterized by a specific erogenous zone, the area of the body that provide the most pleasure during the stage. So the author of the psychosexual theory is Simon Freud. He was born on May 6, 1850 in Freiburg. He was an Austrian neurologist who revolutionized our understanding of the human mind. He is considered one of the most influential thinkers of the 20th century. Freud's psychosexual theory, a cornerstone of his work, was not proposed on a specific date, but rather developed over time through his extensive research and clinical observations. It was first introduced in his 1905 book, Three Essays on the Theory of Sexuality. Freud's psychosexual theory has 5 stages. The first is the oral stage, 0 to 1 year. The erogenous zone at this stage is mouth. The conflict is weaning. A baby derives pleasure from sucking, biting, and chewing. If weaning is too abrupt or traumatic, the child might develop an oral fixation. This can manifest in adulthood as smoking, overeating, nail biting, or excessive talking. The second stage is anal stage, 1 to 3 years old. The erogenous zone at this stage is anus. The conflict is toilet training. For example, a baby or a child gains pleasure from controlling their bowel movements. Strict or harsh toilet training can lead to an anal retentive personality characterized by orderliness, cleanliness, and control. Conversely, lenient toilet training might result in an anal expulsive personality marked by messiness, impulsivity, and rebelliousness. The third stage is phallic stage, 3 to 6 years old. The erogenous zone at this stage is genitals. The conflict is Oedipus complex for boys and Electra complex for girls. Children at this stage become aware of their genitals and the difference between males and females. For example, the Oedipus complex involves a boy's attraction to his mother and rivalry with his father. The Electra complex is similar but involves a girl's attraction to her father and rivalry with her mother. These complexes are resolved through identification with the same-sex parent, leading to the development of the superego. The fourth stage is latency stage, 7 to 13 years. This is a period of relative calm where sexual urges are repressed and the focus shifts to social and intellectual development. Children interact primarily with the same-sex peers and develop social skills. There is no conflict during this stage. Every child will benefit from the skills they develop. For example, a child who follows many hobbies, another child loves learning at school, and other child makes a lot of new friends. The last stage is genital stage, puberty to death. The erogenous zone at this stage is genitals. During this stage, sexual urges reemerge, but now directed towards mature, consensual relationships. Individuals seek to establish intimate relationships and express their sexuality in a healthy way. According to Freud, there are three structures of personality. Freud claimed that our mind operates in three spheres, which can we imagine as a submarine. The unconscious level operates the id, the preconscious level operates the superego, and the conscious level operate our ego. Young children are driven by the id and demand immediate satisfaction. At the age of 7, we begin to develop a superego and want to become a good moral citizen and please others. The ego is formed with adolescence to balance the two forces.
Now I'm going to discuss the implications to teaching. First implication is emphasize nurturing environment. Teachers should create a safe and supportive classroom environment where students feel safe to explore their ideas honestly. For example is, the teacher should encourage students to share their ideas na hindi niya kailangang matakot sa magiging judgment ng ibang tao. Education is use reflective practices. Teachers should encourage students to think critically about their thoughts, feelings, and motivation. For example, pwede niyang, for example niyan is, yung teacher is, tatanungin niya kung, yung mga estudyante niya kung, ano ba yung natutunan nila sa isang lessons na tinalakay nila. O kaya naman, pwedeng pagawin ng teacher yung mga estudyante ng isang journal na kung saan isusulat nila yung naging reflection nila about sa tinalakay. Next is use creative teaching methods. Teachers should encourage students to participate in activities that boost their imagination. It can be games, role play, and other creative activities to engage students. For example niyan, di ba, pag halimbawa sa elementary kapag nagtuturo, di ba mas namomotivate mo yung mga estudyante mo na mag-participate sa isang activities kapag hinahaluan mo ito ng mga halimbawa mga games or yung mga activities na nakakapag-catch ng kanilang attention. Next is build strong teacher-student relationship. Teachers should establish positive and trusting relationship with students. For example niyan is, bago ka magsimula ng isang lesson, tatanungin mo yung estudyante mo kung kumusta na ba sila or kung Pwede mo silang kausapin about sa mga bagay na kung saan magiging interesado yung mga estudyante mo. Next is provide emotional support. Teachers should offer empathy, understanding, and support to students who are struggling. For example niyan is napansin mo na yung estudyante mo is parang medyo tahimik and problemado siya. Pwede mo siyang kausapin in private and tanungin mo kung ano ba yung problema niya o kung may offer ka bang tulong sa kanya. The next one is the lesson in a capsule. Simon Freud's theories provide a comprehensive framework for understanding human personality and behavior. Simon Freud's believed that traumatic experiences during any of these stages would lead fixations later in life, such as neurosis, addictions, depression, and dependencies. In his psychological theory, ipinapakita niya na ang bawat yugto ng ating pag-unlad ay may mahalagang papel sa ating personalidad. Halimbawa na lamang yan is kapag yung bata hindi niya natutunang kontrolin ang kanyang sarili during anal stage, maaaring sa kanyang pagtanda pwede siyang lumaking sobrang maayos sa sarili o kaya naman sobrang maging burara and may medyo pagkapilo. And then yung concept naman ng id, ego, and superego, siya yung nakakatulong sa kung paano tayo gumawa ng isang desisyon. Yung id pa natin, siya yung naghahangad ng agarang kasiyahan. Yung superego, siya yung nagsasabi sa atin sa kung tama o mali ba yung magiging desisyon natin. And yung ego natin, siya yung nagbabalanse ng ego and superego. For example niyan is, yung id natin is gusto niyang kumain ng ice cream kasi parang ang sarap daw ng ice cream, ganun. Tapos, yung superego natin, sasabihin niya na ay wag, hindi ka pwedeng kumain ng ice cream kasi nagda-diet ka and syempre, makakasama yan sa kalusugan mo. And then, sasabihin ng ego natin na, ay sige na nga, ano lang, konti lang naman, tapos mag-workout na lang ulit pagkatapos. Sa pamamagitan yan, naging masaya ka na, hindi pa nasira yung balanced diet mo. Briefly, the id, ego, and superego are the ideas of divisions of personality that fight with each other. This fight with each other, and Freud thought that psychosexual development stages can help develop healthy senses of all these 3 points. That's all. Thank you.
Hello everyone. So now let's proceed with the discussion of Lesson 3, still under Module 7. In this video, I will be providing information of this following question. What is this theory all about? Who and when was it proposed? And lastly, what is this implication of this theory to education or teaching? Children gradually develops an awareness of what is right and wrong as they grow, influenced by their interaction with their peers, family, and society. This moral awareness evolved through various stages as they learn to reason about ethical dilemmas and make decisions. One of the most well-known theories explaining this process is Kohlberg's theory, which explains how people develop moral reasoning, or a sense of morality. So, in 1958, the moral development theory was proposed by Lawrence Kohlberg. So, Kohlberg extended this theory of Jean Piaget. According to Piaget, there are 2 stages of moral development, while according to Lawrence Kohlberg, there are 6 stages of moral development. Lawrence Kohlberg agreed with Piaget's theory of moral development in principle, but wanted to develop his idea further. He used Piaget's storytelling technique to tell people stories involving moral dilemmas. In each cases, he presented a choice to be considered, for example, between the rights of some authority and the needs of some deserving individual unfairly treated. After presenting people with various moral dilemmas, Kohlberg categorized the responses in 2 different stages of moral reasoning, using children's responses to a series of moral dilemmas Kohlberg established that the reasoning behind the decision was a greater indication of moral development than the actual answer. One of the Kohlberg's best-known stories concerned Heinz' dilemma, who lived somewhere in Europe. Kohlberg asked a series of questions, such as, should Heinz have stolen the drug? Would it change anything if Heinz did not love his wife? What if the person dying was a stranger? Would it make a difference? Um, should the police arrest a chemist for murder if the woman dies? By studying the answer from children of different ages to these questions, Kohlberg hoped to discover how moral reasoning changed as people grow older. He found that this reason tended to change as the children got older. By using moral dilemmas like the Heinz dilemma, he observed how people justify their decision, leading him to propose a 6 stages of model of moral reasoning or development. While groundbreaking, the theory has been critiqued for its focus on Western perspective and hypothetical scenarios. In this theory, 3 levels in each level is divided into 2 stages. Kohlberg's theory is dependent on a hypothetical story related to Heinz dilemma. Lawrence Kohlberg formulated a theory asserting that individual progress through 6 stages of moral reasoning from infancy to adulthood. He grouped these stages into 3 broad categories or level of moral reasoning, which is the pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. Kohlberg's levels of moral development first is pre-conventional, so around 3 to 7 years old. Children accept the authority or moral code of others. If an action leads to punishment, it must be bad. If it leads to reward, then it must be good. There's also a sense in which decisions concerning what is good are defined in terms of what is good for us. The convention level, 8 to 13 years old, children believe that social rules and expectation of others determine what is acceptable or unacceptable behavior. A social system that stresses the responsibilities of relationship and social order is seen as desirable and must, therefore, influence our views of what is right and wrong. The post-conventional level in adulthood, here what is right and wrong is based on individual understanding of universal ethical principles. What is considered morally acceptable in any given situation is determined by what is the response in keeping with this principle. So this levels is divided into 2 stages. Associated with these complex stages of moral development, under first level is obedience and punishment and self-interest. In obedience and punishment, moral reasoning is based on direct consequences, while in self-interest, actions are seen in terms of reward rather than moral values. The second level stages contains interpersonal accord and conformity and authority in maintaining the social order. The first stages under this level is good behavior is about living up to social expectation and rules. The second stages is authority and maintaining the social order. So here, moral reasoning considered societal laws. The third level contains social contract, which rules are seen as social agreements that can be changed when necessary. The second is universal ethical principle. Here, moral reasoning is based on universal ethical principle and justice. So Kohlberg suggested that people move through the stages in a fixed order and that moral understanding is linked to cognitive development. Progression through these stages is sequential and individual cannot skip stages. Moral reasoning develops through interaction with environment and exposure to moral dilemmas. So, what is an example of moral development in real life? So, an example is first, a student who witnessed cheating on an important exam the student is faced with the dilemmas of whether to report the cheating or keep quiet. A person at the pre-conventional level of moral development might choose not to report cheating because they fear the consequences because they believe that everyone cheats. Next, a person at a conventional level might report cheating because they believe it is their duty to uphold the rules and maintain fairness in the academic environment, while a person at the post-conventional level might weigh the ethical implications of both options and make a decision based on the principles and values such as honesty, fairness, integrity, even it may come with negative consequences. So this example demonstrates how moral development theory can help us understand how individuals reason about ethical dilemmas and make decisions based on their moral reasoning.
An example about Kohlberg's moral development theory. So for me, papayawan lang muna natin yung binigay ni Kohlberg's na example. So for example, yung Hin's dilemma. So in Hin's dilemma, ang sinasabi nun is si Hin's or basta si Hin's ay mayroong asawa na may sakit. Ngayon, ang problema nasa kanya yung desisyon kung magnanakaw siya ng gamot o hindi. So for me, concrete example for me is yung halimbawa, pag nanakaw or hindi. Pag pangungot yan ang sagot o hindi. Kasi nasa atin naman kung anong pipiliin natin. Depende sa dilemma natin. So, next question. Discuss the implication of the theory of Kohlberg's moral development theory. So, dito naman, ang gusto sabihin dito ng question na to ay kung gaano kahalaga na ituro ng isang teacher ang moral theory ni Kohlberg. So, for me, encouraging classroom discussions about moral dilemmas prompting about to reflect on their reasoning behind decisions and providing opportunities to consider different perspectives. So, parang dinidevelop natin as teachers, dinidevelop natin yung magiging attitude or magiging result ng isang tao. Kasi, sa classroom, tayo yung nagmo-mold sa mga estudyante natin. So for the last question is, discuss the lesson in a capsule by a short discussion of the summary or generalization about the topic. Ang topic or the Kohlberg's moral development theory. So for me, individual progress through stages of moral reasoning, starting with a focus on personal consequences or avoiding punishments. So, ito na yung parang umiiwas tayo na maparusahan or masaktan. And gradually, evolving to consider societal expectations and universal principle of justice and equality. So, yun yung main lesson nung Kohlberg's moral development theory.
So, in summary, Kohlberg's moral development theory help us understand how people develop their moral reasoning. And education is a valuable tool for teaching students to think critically about the ethics and the role in society. If educators understand the 6 stages, they can create approaches to teaching and encourage ethical growth in their students. So this type of theory serve as a reminder to focus on the use of moral dilemmas and to promote discussion that challenge the student to think critically about what is right and wrong. So this theory can help teachers guide students on moral development and education. This can be through real-life issues, becoming a role models, and fostering an environment in which fairness, and respect are learned. Teachers will be able to guide the moral and ethical growth of their students while seeing them succeed in school through the understanding of Kohlberg's ideas. And that's all.